to Career Uprising. I'm your host and professional career coach, Lorraine Rise. Join me as I guide you through an amazing journey of self-discovery and empowerment. If you are looking for work, changing careers, or stuck in a toxic job, then this is the show for you. I offer both practical and spiritual guidance to help you up-level and advance your career. Let's start the uprising. Hey everybody, you are listening to episode 56, Overcoming an Employment Gap. Hello everybody, how are you doing? My beautiful, faithful, loyal listeners. I have the best listeners in the whole world. I do. I know this for a fact. I do. Yeah, I just, last night I was leading my first ever group program, which is super exciting. And one of the gals in there has been in my community for a long time, since the beginning and inception of this show. And it just made me feel like, how far have I come? I guess it has been about 14 months, over a year. And oh, it's just wonderful, to know that some people have been listening since the birth of this show. You never expect that. You hope for it and you hope that people like it and will stick with it. But you don't ever expect that. And then when they do, it's like magic. It just makes me feel good that my message is resonating with people. I love that. So thank you to all of my listeners for getting me to this point of episode 56. And I don't know what I'm going to do when I hit 100, 100 episodes. I can't wait for that. It's not that far into the future either. It's going to happen in the next 6 months, probably something like that. So stick around and we'll do something super, super special at that time. But so I launched my group program called Premium Career Group last night. It was so fun. I can't believe I waited this long to do it. But the timing is good. The timing is right. So if you missed out on that and didn't get to enroll, this was my first launch and kind of a soft launch. I didn't make a big stink about it, but I wanted to enroll a couple of people, but I still kind of wanted to keep it small so we could see where it goes and what it becomes. And so I've got a handful of folks that I'm going to lead in a powerful, hopefully, experience over the next 4 weeks through July. So really excited about that. And I'm going to do it again. I had so much fun and I already can see the seeds of it and the value in transitioning to that kind of group coaching model. I still have the one-on-one and I likely still will, but I think there is something unique about connecting with other people, other job seekers, other people who are going through what you're going through. It's just something you can't really get from the one-on-one. So they both are great. They both have value and it's two different approaches, but I'm so excited to be introducing this new element and this new flavor to my coaching practice. So I'm going to do this again. I'm thinking after I have some travel coming up in a couple of weeks here for the summer, but when late summer, fall comes around, August, I think I'll probably start maybe promoting in August, launch in September, something like that. Be on the lookout. I'm going to do this again and maybe even again and again. I don't know. We'll just see what comes of it. But I think that I will do this again because I want to grow it and see where it can go and what group coaching can do for people. I'm really excited about that. So get on my email list if you haven't done that yet, so you can be in the know when know when I launch this the next time. So you can go to careeruprising.com/sign up and join my email community or join my Facebook group by the same name, Career Uprising, and connect with me that way. So you know what's going on and maybe you can be a part of wave 2 when it happens in about maybe 2 months, something like that. So so stay tuned for that. But so what we're going to talk about today is overcoming an employment gap. All right. What do you do when your work history is a little bit blemished, right? Less than perfect, which a perfect work history, I don't even know what that means. It's more normal than people think to have hiccups along the way. Job losses and separations and employment gaps for a variety of reasons. And, finding a new job is challenging, but let's be honest, it's even more challenging. It is when you have a gap, when you have something like that you're kind of self-conscious about and you don't know how people are going to receive it and it looks less than perfect. So we're going to talk about that today because I certainly know about that, and I'm going to share with you some strategies that I have used and how I've filled in the gaps kind of with that and overcome that myself, because I certainly have what you could call an imperfect work history. And if you looked at my resume, to be quite honest, it looks like I'm a job hopper. I had a number of quick separations that happened. I think it was 5 and 7 years, something like that, early on in my career. And it just was circumstance, really. It was not like I was, I'm going to quit. It was layoffs and just buyouts and different things. And it made me look like a job hopper. So I can totally relate to you if that is how you feel, where you have maybe these stops and starts or gaps of unemployment, things like that. So we're going to strategize together and talk about that. So why does this happen? You can become unemployed or have a gap for a number of different reasons, and a lot of them are really legitimate and understandable. So I first want you to know that this is much more common than you think. And the benefit of me being a coach is that I kind of see everyone's work history and everyone's career stories. So I see a big picture, but you might only see you. So it's kind of okay that you might be kind of in a tunnel thinking, am I the only one who has this problem? And you don't see how actually normal and fairly common it is to have periods of unemployment. So I want you to get a little bit more comfortable and normalize that a little bit. And also, this is the biggest thing, really, get comfortable explaining the gap. And this is where people struggle. They're not sure what to say and how to, quote, spin it. How do I spin this to my next employer, right? So I'm going to tell you how to do that. And it's probably not going to be what you think. I could sit here all day and tell you little resume tips and tricks and, do this and say that and play around with the dates or whatever, fluff it up and give it a pretty name. But I'm not going to tell you any of that. Here's the number one thing that you need to know about how to comfortably explain the gap to your next employer. By actually getting comfortable with it. You need to truly and authentically be okay with what happened and with this gap in your employment. Do you get that? The only way to be comfortable explaining the gap is to actually be comfortable with it. And I'm not being facetious. This is what you need. If you're just going to try and cover it up, give fluff answers, try to impress the interviewer, it's going to come across as fake. It's going to feel fake because it is. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Lorraine, they're going to judge me. And then they're not going to hire me. Okay, so let them judge you. So what? If they're going to judge you, do you want to work for them? Let them judge you. You can't control whether or not other people are going to judge you. Don't even try. Are you judging yourself? Perceived judgment from other people is nearly always self-judgment. Ouch. No, it's true. It's true. It's self-judgment. If you are totally and completely okay and accepting of your career trajectory and what has happened, you will automatically be more comfortable explaining it to them. This is true for anything. I want you to own your career story. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to go into a bunch of detail and tell them things that they don't know and badmouth your boss and blame it on other people. We're not going to do any of that. But I want you to double down. I love that phrase. I want you to double down and own your story. Did you get laid off? Okay. Tell them that. It happens. It's happened to me. Did you get fired? It happens. It happens. What did you learn from it? How can you make it a positive thing without fluffing over it, but just owning it and saying, I can absolutely see what should be better next time. And here's what I've learned from the situation. That takes strength. That's somebody I'd want to hire. Okay? You're not volunteering any more than you need to, but you're also not hiding anything. There's a balance. That's where I want you to live, is in that space in between those two things. All right? There's a middle ground. So step one is to get comfortable with your story and why you had the gap. Did you decide to take time off for somebody in your family, to have kids, to care for an aging parent? That's becoming more common these days. So say that. Don't regret your choice. Stand by your choice. That is power. That is standing in your power. When you stand by your choice and say, yeah, I took time off. I took time off to take care of somebody else. I took time off to go back to school. I took time off to be a parent. I took time off to travel. I took time off because I had been working myself to death, working 70 hours a week for years and years, and I just needed a mental break, and I'm so glad I took that time off. Own it. When they see that you are authentic and confident in your decision and don't have any regrets, oh my God, it's a game changer in your interview. How you present it is going to have a direct impact on how they receive it. You have power here. All right? Own your story. So I want to say this too. When a separation happens, be it a layoff, you got fired, voluntary, whatever it is, a lot of times people want to take time off to kind of decompress, right? And recover. They want a little bit of a break between jobs. I've seen this happen, and this is not a bad thing per se. I totally respect that, and sometimes that's necessary. But I'm going to caution you that a job search can take longer than you think. So be careful in taking a break from work, because what can happen is you underestimate how long it's going to take you to get back into the workforce. And then that what was supposed to be a 3-month break turns into 9 months or a year. Oops. So I want you to take care of yourself. I want you to take a break if you need to. It's totally okay. I just gave you permission to. But I don't necessarily want you to stop all job search effort. All right? So again, I'm all about finding that happy space, finding that balance in there. And taking care of yourself and taking a break, but always keeping one eye out and don't stop that wheel entirely, because it could take longer than you think. Okay? I've definitely seen that happen. All right. So that's step one. Think about presentation, owning your story, getting comfortable with what happened, and practice saying it if you need to. Practice saying it to yourself, to the mirror, to somebody else, but get confident and authentic about it, because you probably are going to have to explain it. And we're going to talk more about that in just a second. We're going to take a quick commercial break in just a second. But when we come back, I've got some more tips and some more strategies, and we're going to talk about why it is so important that you do explain an employment gap and not just cover it up or pretend it didn't happen, right? So let's take a quick commercial break, and I'll talk more about that when we get back. everyone. While the show takes a quick break, I want to tell you about 2 ways that you can get help in your career for free. First, you can sign up for my mailing list and be a part of my community. I offer all kinds of advice and solutions for your career problems. I also have a free guide that I created just for you called Strategies for Interview Success, and you'll get it instantly in your inbox as soon as you sign up. So head on over to careeruprising.com/sign up and get on the list today. Then, when you're done with that, you can join my amazing Facebook group. It's also called Career Uprising, and it's growing every day. You can interact with me and ask questions about your own situation. So go on over to Facebook groups and search for Career Uprising, and I can't wait to connect with you. All right, let's get back to the show. Hey, everybody. All right, we are back and we are learning how to kick butt even when you have an imperfect resume, when you have a gap on your resume. All right, it's going to happen at some point. It's more natural than you think to want to take time off. And I've certainly been there myself for a variety of reasons. And the funny thing is, actually, this is going to sound so contrary to what typically happens in people's careers and conventional advice. But one of the reasons why I actually started my own business was to create continuity in my career, because I wasn't finding it in the corporate world. I was finding all of these separations and insecurity and instability and things like that. And I felt the need to create my own stability in my career. And it seemed to me the only way I was going to be able to really stay anywhere long term is if I created it. Now, that may not be the case for you, but what I'm saying is that it was amazing to me how you can be there one day and gone the next. So I totally relate to what you're going through if you have gaps and whatever it may be, that it didn't work out as long as you thought, and now you're finding yourself unemployed again. That you're preaching to the choir on that one. So if I can overcome it, though, you can too. So I will share more in just a minute about some of the things that I did in my own experience to combat that a little bit. But the last point, one of the other points that I want to make to you on this topic is, first I want to define what a gap really is, because I feel like maybe we need to take a step back. What is a gap in employment? Is it 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year? There's no specific answer at all. I think a gap is more going on 6 months or more. The average job search takes at least 2 to 3 months, something like that, depending on who you are and what you do. But, so for me, I don't consider that to be a huge gap, and I still do hiring and recruiting. So I don't think that's a major gap personally. Now, you'll ask somebody else and get a totally different answer. But to me, a more noticeable gap, something you're going to have to explain, is more like 5, 6, 7 months, definitely a year, something like that. So how's that for an answer? A lot of gray area there. But what I want you to know is that you need to explain this gap, all right? Whether on your resume, in an interview, an employment gap is really only fatal and detrimental to you when you leave it unexplained, because then you're leaving the reader of your resume to fill in their own assumptions, and you never want them to do that. Why would you want them to do that? Okay? Especially if you took time off for a really good intentional reason, to raise your kids or care for someone else, go back to school, travel, whatever. Those are great reasons. Just own it. Just put it on there. I had a client once who took time off to to do some courses, and I think she wanted to learn coding to be a developer. So she was taking some online courses and just kind of wanted to learn these new skills. And I think she had kids too. So she was able to kind of stop work and focus on those things. And I said, well, why don't you call it like a learning sabbatical, and put down the courses that you took and what did you do during that time off? And she was like, oh, that's really good. She really liked that idea. So that's an example of how one client overcame that. But you've got to put something on there. What have you been doing during that time? And you need to be doing something during that time. If it looks like you're going to be unemployed for a little while, and it could be a couple months, start volunteering or taking some online classes or something. What are you going to do during that time in addition to job searching? Think about that and be intentional about that. But what I want you to know is that you need to explain the gap. It's in your best interest, and it's only going to help your cause if you can put something on there about, time off to take care of family or raise kids, and then put the dates, time off to go back to school, personal leave of absence. You don't need to go into detail, but what I don't want you to do is just put nothing, that your last job ended, last year in 2018, and then there's nothing after that. And that may be the truth, and that's okay, but we're going to have to think about, how would you perceive that if you were the hiring manager? So what approach we take really can depend on your personal situation. So that's why coaching oftentimes is a really good solution for that. So I can figure out what your situation is and what the right strategy is for you. But these are some generalizations and common things that I see. But an employment gap is only fatal, guys, if there's no explanation for it. And that's just another reason too why it's so important when you do have a gap, say you're unemployed right now, that you network and try to get a job through people as best you can, because that is only going to strengthen your cause, because you've got somebody who will introduce you or refer you or vouch for you, and you kind of bypass that whole online resume game where you're really just a piece of paper, and it's very hard to explain your situation just on a piece of paper and really convey what you want. Chances are you're going to be able to do that a lot better speaking to somebody in an interview or a conversation, and they're going to get it. So working through people is going to be even more important if this is something that you are struggling. If one game doesn't work, play a different one. Try a different approach, okay? That's one of the best ways to get a job anyway, but can be even more important for somebody who's got something like this that they need to kind of overcome. That can be a good one. So what I have done myself too, this is kind of like a fourth strategy here. Consider temp work. Consider contract agency work. I've done this twice in my career with great success. And one of them was a stopgap. When I was laid off in 2013 from a job I'd been at for over 5 years, I knew I was going to be unemployed for a little while. I knew it was probably going to take a couple of months. So I signed up to go work with an agency and said, look, I'm open for whatever you got. I'm open for permanent long-term placements. Obviously, that's the goal. But in the meantime, I said, I'll take a 3-month job. I'll take a 6-month job. I'll take whatever. It's a stopgap so that you can A, not have a gap on your resume, and B, make some money and have at least a little bit of income while you look for work. It is a win-win situation. Now, whether this is an option for you might depend on what you do, but consider this. That's what I have done to fill in the gap on my resume, and it keeps you active, it keeps you engaged, it keeps you interviewing, it keeps you networking, it gets you out of the damn house. It's just got so many benefits for you. So consider that. That's something that I have done when I am unemployed. Lots and lots and lots of benefits to that. Okay, so there you have it, my friends. I hope that helps you and gives you some ideas of how you can do this. You need to own your story, get more comfortable with it and explaining it and practicing that. All right. You need to come up with how you're going to be prepared to explain it should you need to, and have a plan if you can for what you're going to do during this time. If you're in it, the thick of it right now, obviously there's nothing you can do in the past if you have a past gap. But if you're unemployed right now in the middle of a gap, how can you stay busy? Volunteer, contract work, taking courses, while you job search, get these things going. All right. Okay. I hope that helps you. If you need more help, as always, you know I'm here for you. You know I'm here for you, and I'd love to help you. So you can contact me on my website, careeruprising.com, if you want help on your individual situation, or if you want to be coached on air. I'm always looking for people who are brave souls that want to come on during my recording time. And we'll work through your problems, all right? But until next time, have a beautiful week, guys. I will talk to you next time. That's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you heard today, please consider giving the show a positive review on iTunes. It would mean a lot to me, and it would help to spread the word so that others can learn about the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and I can't wait to connect with you again next time on Career Uprising.
This show is brought to you by inflowradio.com, the best curated talk radio network for personal development, wellness, spirituality, and conscious business.